Welcome everyone to First Wednesdays with Master Coach Gretchen Hydo. It is June. This year is going by very quickly. And today we're actually going to talk about open loops. So Gretchen will explain what open loops are. Some of you already know because you've been working with Gretchen, but she's going to share a few things that are going to help you in your coaching business as well as your clients. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Gretchen.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm always so glad to see all of you for our first Wednesdays of the month. I do this as a service to coaches to really help you to be able to go deeper in your coaching skills and in your business. Tonight, like Christy said, we are going to talk about something called open loops, and we're going to take a look at the way that you drain your own energy in your coaching practice and some of the things that you can do to close the loop on that. Oftentimes we say that we want to be a professional coach, but we are spending our time doing all sorts of things that have nothing to do with actual coaching. The other thing that we're going to talk about too is the roundtable program. The open loops is taken from something that I teach in there. I always love to kind of showcase whatever it is that's happening in my next program so that you can get a feel for it to see if it feels right for you. So tonight, it's going to be highly interactive, as always. And Marissa was going to be here to talk about the roundtable, but she has COVID. Matt was in last year's program, so he's going to talk about his experience with it at the end. So if you have questions, you can feel free to ask him. So let's get into this. You know, for all of us, we have those loops that we're ruminating on in our head over and over and over. And what happens is the mind is always going out to get answers for us about our open loops because our mind is a problem solver. And so when it comes to an open loop, I'll give you a little bit of a definition. You know, an open loop is a commitment that you've made to either yourself or somebody else. And maybe you kept the commitment or maybe you didn't. But it's the things that we think about, the things we've said yes to when we really meant no, the things we've said yes to, and now we're going to tell a lie to get out of them. We suddenly have COVID or the stomach flu or an emergency or a flat tire, or whatever your brand is. You know, open loops are the things that we feel like we should be doing, but we're not. Anytime you're straddling the fence, I want to, but that's an open loop. Open loops are the different things that we think about even in our businesses. Should I join the program? Should I get my own coach? Should I create this program? Should I reach out to Larry, who I saw last week? Oh, I'm so nervous. All of the things that we are just thinking and thinking and thinking about. And here's the deal with open loops. They can go back years. It can be that library book that you never returned, and then you decided that you just would never go to the library again because you felt embarrassed or you don't want to have to pay the fee. Maybe you still have a DVD from Blockbuster. I don't know. That can be an open loop. It can be the speaking engagement that you said yes to, but now you've double booked and you have to figure that out. That can be an open loop. It can be the commitment you made to a friend to call them back and it's been 3 weeks and you still haven't. So open loops are sneaky, but the reason that it's really important for us to take a look at it is because open loops are the places where we spend our time in worry, anxiety, fear, and problem solving instead of in productivity and in creation mode. And when you are a professional coach, we don't have a lot of time for the anxiety, right? We don't have a lot of time to sit in fear because it keeps us from our higher purpose and the things that we truly want to do. So I want everyone to just take a minute and I want you to think about some of the things in your personal life. Pick 3 things in your personal life and 3 things in your career that you really want to do. You keep saying that you want to do them. Check in with yourself. Maybe you want to, maybe you don't, but write down 3 in each category that you really do want to do them. Let's just look at that for a minute. Maybe you've even intended to do them. Maybe you've thought about doing them for a very long time, but you just haven't done them. So write those down. Okay, everyone have a couple in each category, some personal and some professional? Okay. Now, scale of 1 to 10, next to each one, write down your excitement level. Okay. For your excitement level, anyone have things on your list that are less exciting than an 8? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, a few of you do. Those are open loops. You don't want to do them, right? You really don't. If you are less excited than an 8, that's why they are not done yet. Okay, so that's already one of the first things you can do with an open loop. How excited am I to do it? So we've got this garage. It is a mess. It is a complete open loop because we keep saying we're going to clean the garage. We've lived here for almost 20 years. We've cleaned it a couple times. No one actually has any intention of cleaning the garage. My excitement level for it is a negative number. So I decided that it's no longer an open loop. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to stop telling myself I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to stop thinking about it. And every time I open it, because we also need a new garage door and I have to push it up with my hands, I've stopped thinking about that too. It just doesn't really matter to me. So think of your list right now. And I'd love to hear from a couple of you about some of the things that scored less than a 7. What are they and what's the real story with it? Adam, why don't you share? Because I love that smile.
Awesome. I can't think of anything that I want to do that's higher than an 8. So limited time. What I came up with for lower than an 8, I had offered my team at work workshop that I put on annually. It's a mid-year resolution workshop, and I just haven't sent out the invite, and I keep putting it off every single week. And I look at it and wonder, like, why am I not doing this? And I realize it's an enthusiasm thing, but it still feels, like you said, an open loop.
Yeah, good. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Sounds like it's something that you're tolerating that feels like a should rather than something that you're like, oh yeah, I want to. Good deal. Who else can share? Who else had something that was a 7 or less? Yeah, Jesse. Good to see you, Jesse.
Yeah, you too. Calling my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is a very toxic individual and he is elderly. He could go anytime, but every time I talk to him, doesn't have dementia, but he's massively self-absorbed. So it's a really, really tough thing to do. It feels like I have to because I'm his son.
Yeah.
But it's never anything I want to do.
Yeah, I can hear that. And I can see where that would make sense. That would be on your list of something that you're going to do, even if you don't want to do it.
I do it, every 4 to 6 months, just out of a duty sort of thing. And it's time. It's been, 4, 5 months, and I know it's time. And he plays the role of a good dad by asking me 3 questions, and then the rest is all about him. And I just, try to stay out of the BS as much as I can.
Yeah, I can really understand that. So Jesse, thank you for sharing that. So sometimes coaches, the other thing that happens with open loops is it's the things that we dread. We know we're going to do it anyway because we have a responsibility to it. And sometimes it's not about if you want to or not. It's not even a should. You're going to end up doing it, but you're dreading it. It's an open loop. So these are all the drains of our energy. How about one more? Who's someone else that you have something that's less than an 8 that's an open loop? Yeah, Jen.
Under personal, I wrote do some kind of art project on a regular basis. And it resonates like for brain stimulation and with the kids at home. And I've been wanting to do it for years. Haven't done it.
There you go, for years. So this is also a clue. And you're going to use this with your clients as well. When we say, I've wanted to do it for years, we really have to look at our motives. Have we wanted to do it for years? If we wanted to do it, would we do it? Most of the things that we really want to do, we do them. Some things are just great ideas that we get to take off the table and decide, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it right now. Or I'll think about that again in 6 months. I'll put it on my calendar to close the loop on it now. And in 6 months, I'll relook at, is now the time that I want to do this art project? If it is, you'll do it. And if not, you put it on there for another 6 months, but we're closing the loop. And that way we don't have to constantly be ping-ponging it. You know, is today the day I'm going to clean the garage? Nope, it's really not. I can put it on the calendar for 6 months and not think about it until then. And maybe I'll get a yes. So this will help you. Now, I'd love to hear, what are you hearing so far about open loops and how they can drain your energy? What are you getting from this?
It's lingering in your brain.
It's lingering in your brain. Yes, Gloria, that's exactly it. What else?
Well, you're not present where all possibilities actually live.
Yeah, yes, that's really good, Celeste, and that's the truth, you know, and this is one of the keys of why open loops are so important for us to close, is it keeps us from being present. When we're not present, we close off possibility. And from there, we also don't get into productivity. We're not productive and we're not creative when we have a lot of loops open. It's kind of like on your computer when you have so many, you know, tabs open or whatever, and the computer's running slow. It's the same thing with our mind. If we're thinking about too many different things, nothing ever really gets completed, but we've got all the tabs open. So it's really better to close the loop as we go and to make a decision. And here's something else to know. Any decision will steady you. A yes or a no, any decision will steady you. And then once you've made the decision to just follow through or to not do it, either way is fine, but close that loop so that you can stop thinking about it and obsessing over it, because your mind is out there looking for all the ways it's going to protect you and help you and get you to do the next thing. Does this make sense? Helpful so far? What else are you hearing about open loops?
They're exhausting.
Yes. Yes, open loops can definitely be exhausting. And to build on that point, I want you to think about some of the things that you're tolerating in your life. You know, that we have these daily annoyances or the things that come up that we're just tolerating. But if you think of that like air coming out of a tire, we know we should do something about it, but it feels like, but I just don't have time. There's enough air to get to the gas station. It's fine. I'll take care of that later. I'll do it another time, but it's an irritant that we're still thinking about. So open loops take up a lot of our headspace, and you're going to hear this with your clients. You're going to hear it week after week about the things that they're talking to you about, that they have a lot of open loops. And so as a coach, one of the things that you can do to get into your most professional self is really to begin to close your own loops in your life, you know, in the places that you can. So let's just take a minute, and I want you to think about, we wrote down the 3 things that you've been intending to do personally, 3 things you've been intending to do professionally. Now I want you to write down some of your top open loops. You know, if you picked 3 or so personally and professionally of just, they're really open for you, they keep recycling over and over and over again. They might feel different than your intention list, or they might be the exact same thing. See if they're different. So I had an open loop for a long time about this book I was going to write. Open loop, open loop, open loop. It was draining so much of my time and attention. And finally, my coach said, so write it or don't. And it was like, oh yeah, okay, good. Write it or it's pretty easy. And I decided I'd write it. And it really, that was what it took. I needed to invest in that as well, because I always have to back it up with something financial to do it. But I write it or don't. And I wrote it. And now it's not an open loop. There it is. It's done. So for you, take a look, personal, professional, we have different open loops. A lot of times for my coaches, it's I want to make more money, and that's an open loop. I want more clients, that's an open loop. Oh, but I really need to get my website up, open loop. Oh, I can't do it until I know how to, I can't do it until I know how to talk about my marketing the right way, open loop. So you want to just really be thinking about that. Now circle on both lists your most nagging open loop, the one you think about the most. The one that really eats away at you. Who can share what's one of your most nagging open loops? Go ahead, Jen.
I really enjoy speaking and I would love to do more of it. And it is the top desire. And I can't even remember the last time I reached out to make that happen.
There you go. Good. Thanks for sharing. Sam, what about you?
I'm like having a hard time coming up with what really feels, I mean, there's one is what you and I have talked about of like figuring out a couple of clients' fees. That definitely is still nagging. I have not put that to rest of like, okay, this is the plan. So that's really the one that's coming to mind in this.
Yeah, good. Okay, so that's your nagging one. Deb, what about you?
For me, I think my greatest open loop right now, I actually closed it with you the other day because I decided, okay, I'm moving on. I'm just focusing on everybody else, right? And then not focusing on this other group of people that kind of keeps taking my energy away, right? So actually, without knowing the language, that's kind of what I did the other day that I think kind of freed me up of just like, this is what I'm going to focus on.
That's right. We did close that loop. That was good. Lily, what about you?
I had a session with Celeste the other day in which I closed a nagging open loop with a person who was taking up way too much real estate in my brain. So that was tremendous.
Good, good. And so here's the thing with our open loops, with that one that you circled, I want you to really think about it for a minute, but then I want you to see how it's the backdrop of your life. So for so long, I kept saying that I wanted to write a book. I'm going to write a book. Sometimes I'd even write down and write some things. Even one time I came up with like a whole draft of this book, but I wasn't doing it in the way that I wanted to do it. So it was a real open loop. And here's the truth when it comes to our open loops, they become the backdrop. But then when you think about this, that the results you have in your life are perfect for the system that you're living in. So the results you have in your life are perfect for the system that you're living in. So for me, I would say I really wanted my book, and I did, and it was the backdrop, but the results I had of not having a book were perfect for the system of all my open loops. Well, I'm too busy. I have too many commitments. I can't write a book and be a good mom and be a businesswoman. I had the open loop around my book that, well, people who write books really shouldn't have to pay for a book coach. You should just be able to write the book. That was an open loop. So we get in our own way of our dreams, our goals, and our desires with our open loops. But I guarantee the thing you say you want, you've got an open loop somewhere that needs to be closed because it's the way that you are sabotaging yourself. So I was sabotaging my book over and over again with all these open loops. So take a look at your list. Can anyone share how that might be happening for you? Where might your open loops be sabotaging the very thing that you're saying that you want? Matt.
This has been more of an open loop for this week, but I've basically gone through from people I've had connections with or potential clients, and I just have a list of like, I got to follow up with them. I got to follow up. And it's like it's definitely an open loop. So it's like I keep telling myself, I'm like, this is what's going to generate more business. And it's stayed open.
Yeah. And that's the deal, right? And so here's the other thing with our open loops. They're not right or wrong. It's just the results you have are perfect for your open loops. They just are. It's perfect. If you have an open loop, you want more business, but you've got an open loop that I should reach out, but you're not reaching out, you don't have more business, but that's the system that's been created that's perfect for your results. So they make sense. And once you can see that, it's like, oh, well, how badly do I want this thing that I keep saying that I want? What's the fear that's getting in the way? Sometimes our open loops are protecting us. So take a look at your open loop. How has that open loop been protecting you? So mine about the book was protecting me because I have some very vulnerable stories in there. And I didn't know if I wanted people to actually know those things. My ego was in the way. You know, looking good was in the way. So having the loop open, if I really want to write the book, except no, I don't, because I don't want anyone to know this, except it's the whole central theme of the book. So I would have to actually write it down, and then someone might read it and then they might think something. That open loop was protecting me. So I could still look good and then say things like, yeah, I'm working on a book. That seems very important to people, but I wasn't really doing it. So my system of this open loop was creating results that were perfect for me at the time. What about you? How have your open loops been protecting you? Who can share? Sherry, what about you?
Well, I kind of have on my open loops like a website, my workshop, and my program that I want to work on, and I just don't yet. It's something I constantly think about. And I'm thinking if I really get serious, I think it's protecting me because I know that once I do it, I'm going to have to probably make a decision as to, do I want to commit to this full time and let go of my full-time job, which I don't think I'm ready to do yet.
There you go.
You know, there's a lot of fear of, around that. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Isn't that interesting though? So it's open and it drains the energy, which doesn't give you then any time to really create it, but it's actually a protection mechanism so that you don't have to make this big decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good to see. Really good to see. Thank you. Who else can share? How have your open loops maybe been protecting you?
I think I can share mine.
Thanks, Gloria.
So, open loop for me, I think right now I want to move to Vancouver. I'm based in Ottawa, Canada right now, but I have been thinking about moving to Vancouver for a while, but it hasn't happened yet. I think the other open loop that I have is probably relationship with my in-laws. Right now, my sister-in-law is going to give birth soon, and if we are not there, I feel afraid that we are going to be criticized by in-laws family saying, you're not taking care of your family. And I think probably not moving to Vancouver at this point of time is protecting me from that criticism, now that I think about it. Yeah.
There you go. Good. I love that. Okay. So it's just good for you to know our open loops are protecting us in some way. Now think about that intention that you have and the one you wrote at the beginning. Go back and look at it and ask yourself if you really do want it. And you already know, is it something that you're just tolerating? Does it feel like a should? And in the case of you, Jesse, with your dad, you probably do just have to call your dad. I don't know 100% sure if that's true, but it sounds like one of those things, you're just gonna do it. So it's there. But for the people, that you have a goal, something that you're working on, is it a should? Is it people pleasing? Like, what is it really about? And pick one that you want to do, even if you're afraid to do it. Even if you feel really nervous about taking an action on it, because it's a commitment, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cost your time, you might not be that good at it, whatever the upheaval is, but in your gut, the gut check is you do want to do it. Everyone have one there? Just want to make sure, yes, thumbs up. Okay. All right. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to write an action that you can take, a small action that you can take towards movement. Now, it doesn't have to be something huge. I want you to start small so that we can create a success pattern for you to be able to close this loop. Once your mind relaxes around you taking an action, it will let you take another action. But the first thing you have to decide, you have to make a commitment. Commitment and action go hand in hand. So when you think of this action that you're going to take, I want you to now look at your calendar and write down when you're doing this, like a real time and a real date. Let's get a committed action around it. This is going to help you to take an action to close a loop that's actually going to end up giving you more momentum towards what you really want. Now, as you write this action on the date at a real time, I want you to ask yourself, how are you going to sabotage yourself? What are you going to do to still not take that action? And here's what happens when you do that. You are telling the subconscious, see, it is too hard. I'm never really going to do it. So whatever the thing is that you say you're going to do, let's make sure it's something that you can do. Make it that small. It only takes one small 5% action for your 100% goal to get it started. And you do this with your clients, coaches. I mean, we know this, right? We know all about the subconscious, and that if we say we're going to and then we don't, we're just those embedded, neurons in our brain. We're just proving it one more time. See, I'm not really going to do it. I'm not really going to do it. And there's your open loop. Perfect for the results that you have in your life, because that's the system. This is the first step of really changing your system. Okay, I'd love to hear about some of your committed actions. What are you committing to do around one of these intentions that you have that you really do want to see it happen? Who can share? Adam, then Sam.
So one of mine that I'm not overly excited about, but I want to close the loop just to get it off my calendar every single week, is to email my team and ask who's interested in attending this workshop that I'm putting on, emailing it out on Friday, and then just being ready to send out an invite once people get back to me.
Okay, that's really clear. Thank you. Sam, what about you?
One of mine is like creating some social strategy, like social media based strategy, something that I feel like I've just been like, keeps like coming up in my head as a thing to do, and I'm not doing it. I think I am actually excited about doing it, but so it's not that, but some, like the first step feels like putting time on a calendar with a friend who's going to help me actually create the visual templates for it, and letting that just be like, that is the thing on the calendar. And then I can put the rest of that piece of it to bed. I'll have that meeting and have those templates, and then I can just move forward.
Perfect. Perfect. So the reason that this is important is that saying it makes you more accountable. Now, how many of you have a loop that's open that you actually need to close and just decide you're not doing it? You're not going to think about it anymore, or you're going to calendar it for 3 or 6 months. And anytime your mind starts to think about it, they're going to be like, wait, I decided I'm not thinking about that until December, so that you can close the loop. Anyone have anything like that? A garage that you're just not going to clean? Yeah, Jen does. Okay, it's good, Deb does. When you can close the loop on something, the other thing that you're doing is that intention that you have with that committed action, you're making room for it. So sometimes closing the loop is necessary in order to make room for what you truly want. Does that make sense? Okay, you guys are going to go into breakout rooms, and you're going to talk about your open loops, the action that you want to take, and the commitment, and any loop that you need to close, because not everyone shared. And I do want you all to share with one another so that it goes into your subconscious. It's just going to be 10 minutes. You don't have to coach each other, or you can. It's really just more conversation. And then we'll come back and we're going to talk about it. Sound good? Perfect. All right, Christy, go ahead and open those rooms. Okay, so what did you learn about your open loop? Who wants to share about this experience? Yeah, Sherry.
So Lily was very good at coaching me, and I actually closed the loop on working on my website. I'm just like, I'm not going to do it. All of my clients have been through either connection or word of mouth. And I really have a passion for creating a workshop. So I crossed off that I was going to work on my website, and I'm actually calendared to work on my workshop.
Great. And doesn't that give you a lot of energy and passion too? Your whole face is lit up around it right now.
Yeah, very excited about it. Thank you, Lily.
Good, good, good. One more. Who else can share? How was this experience for you? Yeah, Adam.
Sam pulled out one that I've kept locked away for 5-6 years, something that I've been toying with, and we got to the point that it feels like it's money driven, and from our conversations, I'm not driven by money, so we found an idea for me to make it more fun what I want to work on, and bringing in my cheese factor versus just having it be sort of a should do to something that I'm excited and ready to play around with.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And Adam, for you, fun is always the name of the game.
There we go.
It's always the name of your game. So here's the thing, everybody, knowing about your own loops and which ones to close, which ones to have a committed action around, it's going to help you close them either way by taking an action or just saying that you're not doing it. But we want to do that because it will really help you to show up more in your professional self as a coach. It will give you more time back to be able to do that. And this is an exercise that I highly recommend you do with your own clients. Do this with your own clients. And so what I'd love for you to do now is to really think about, between now and the end of 2022, what do you still want to accomplish? What do you still want to accomplish?
Are you asking for comments?
Sure. You can tell me too. Great.
I want to have 2 100-page books written on the topic for which I got into coaching. Not necessarily published, but written.
Okay.
Maybe under consideration, maybe waiting to be published, at least the first one.
Nice. Okay.
That's what I want to do.
Good. Good. Who else? What else do you want to do, somebody? Between now and the end of 2022. I talked to you all personally. I know you all want to do something. Why are you being so shy tonight? It's hilarious.
I'm gonna speak.
I'm like, come on, Celeste, we just talked an hour ago.
I am going to have at least 3 couples online groups, yeah,
Good.
Zoom meetings.
Okay, so you all have something. Make sure it doesn't become an open loop. Create an action around it and think about the support that you need to be able to do it. It's really, really important. And 2022, we're halfway through, but you can still get the thing that you said that you wanted this year. There's plenty of time if you close the loop to some of the other things that have been draining your energy. And so use this exercise for yourself. Always look at the fear, always look at what it's protecting you from, see where you really need to close it, see what you're making room for, and know that every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Every time you say no, you're saying yes to something else. So check, are you wanting to really give a yes somewhere else, or are you wanting to give a no? Because if we say yes, there's just not enough time somewhere else. If we say no, then there's enough time for the thing you said you just wanted to do. So you might have to say a lot of no's in order to bring these goals around that you're wanting to commit to. Okay, so that is part of the teaching that I do in the roundtable. It's one of the things that we did last year. And Matt, I'd love for you to talk about your experience a little bit of the roundtable last year, what you got, what your highlights were, and just share with the group.
Yeah. So I was part of the group last year, and what drew me to it was, number one, working with Gretchen. So I think having that one-on-one support, it was so different from other programs that I had done in the past, where it was either you were just part of the group, or either that or you did the one-on-one. So that was really good. But what I think makes it really different is the community of really dedicated coaches. So we formed, basically, there was, how many were there, Gretchen? I think 10 of us.
10.
Yeah. So there was about 10 of us. And then we all, under the guidance of Gretchen, created pods where it was groups of 2 or 3 of us, and it was usually around a particular area of focus. So I was part of one that was really focused on service. We were talking about Melissa Ford's book and playing the service game and our definitions of service, and it was super powerful for that. And then I was part of another pod that we were covering a lot of different things. And what's great about that is that there are about 5 of us who are still talking on a regular basis, and have just become so much closer since that program. And I think the biggest thing was that you are around very, very serious, dedicated, high-level coaches. So they help you. I wanted to be around a group of coaches that would help me raise my game. And that was exactly what happened. So that, combined with also the regular group sessions that we had, it just, honestly, it took everything up a different notch. So, and I'll just share before I pause for a second, a couple of wins where, I signed a couple of clients at my highest rates that I didn't think were possible. I closed a couple of really big loops through that as well. There was something, just some coaching work that I was tolerating, and closed the loop on that. So there were just a lot of big transformational moments that happened through participating in the roundtable, because it really did push me to take all the foundational stuff that I had as part of my practice, and just took it to the next level.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the roundtable, it's exactly what Matt's saying. It's really for dedicated coaches who they want to take their business to the next level. Most of you have been in Stairway to Six, and that one's foundation. It's your foundational program for how do you find clients? What do you say to clients? Those sorts of things. Roundtables really pedal to the metal. What do you want? Who do you want to be in this industry? And it's heavy on your community. So you get the individual coaching with me, where we work on closing your own loops, whatever your limiting beliefs are, building your business and that sort of thing. But you're in a group of these seasoned high-level coaches, high level in their thinking with where they're wanting to go, who are dedicated and consider themselves professionals. And this group did things that they didn't think they could do. I mean, Matt even saying he closed his highest paying client, and you did close the loop professionally on something pretty big. That was the story over and over. And then we do some barn raising in the group too, months 3, 4, and 5 of who do you want to be in the room with? And we share some connections at that point as well in the group. You earned some serious money and connections from that sharing. And my whole thing with this too is I want you to have community. That's why there's the pods, so that you can get to know each other. Coaches should help each other. Coaches should know coaches. You will come up with so many amazing ideas by doing that. So roundtable is limited. There's only going to be room for 12. I keep that one small. I do that on purpose just to make sure that, you really get a high level of coaching and service and great connections. So if it's something that you're interested in, let Christy or I know, and we can have a deeper conversation about that. Anyone have any questions about roundtable, open loops, what you're tolerating, or anything else? Jen.
I'm curious, like with your example with your garage situation, or maybe if you see a trend in general of how often these open loops come up.
Before you do this exercise with a client or yourself?
Or just for yourself, like kind of your own personal journey. You know what I mean? Is it daily, weekly, monthly, multiple times a day? Have you seen any trends?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it depends. For me, usually what happens is it's something that just gets recycled. I would be thinking about coaching and who I was going to reach out to and a client project, and then the garage would come in my head. So it's sort of like I should go clean the closet instead of doing the thing that I really say I want to do. And since I work from home, the garage, the closet, all of it is right there. But I noticed how many times I'd get distracted by it because I had said, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm not doing it. Everyone in my family knows I'm not doing it. It's not going to happen. And so now I just don't think about it. It doesn't even come up because I'm not thinking about it. So if it's anything that's taking you off target, there's an open loop. It's like, look at me. I'm a shiny thing over here that you haven't closed. Oh, you're doing this new thing. Nope. Come over. Come on. Make sense?
Yeah. And then I guess it's on one hand kind of maybe specific to what it is. If it really is something you can say, no, I'm not going to do that,
Yeah.
or I don't want to do that. But then it's great to hear the freedom over the time or however long it takes to just remind yourself, no, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. No,
Or I'm doing it at a different time, or, let me just,
you table it. So another one of my daily open loops is what's for dinner. I really hate what's for dinner. I hate what's for dinner so much. And so in the morning or the day before, I already know what's for dinner the next day so that I have the loop closed. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not mad about it. I already know how much prep time it's going to take. That's an open loop. And I know that they seem silly, but these are the things that can drain a person's energy while you're trying to be a professional out there in the world. So whatever anyone's personal list is, it really creates the backdrop for their life. And you'll see too, where they have like some anger around it or resentment or sadness, all of those things that come up a lot of times about, is it fair that they have to do it versus somebody else? These are good places to spend time with your clients and with yourself of, are you living in your highest values? Because open loops really, a lot of times are in contrast to our highest values. We say we want one thing, but we're not living it because we're out of integrity because of our loops. Yeah. Okay, I'd love to hear some takeaways. What'd you get from tonight?
This has been very interesting because I worked with, had my first session with who had been my peer coach, but now we're through our 8 sessions now that I'm certified, and we're coaching each other now, Greta.
Mm-hmm.
And we dealt with a topic related to this very thing. So I was on the fence whether I was going to attend tonight, and then to have this discussion after that coaching session this morning was really almost, destined,
Yeah.
something like that. Providence, maybe, whatever.
Good. Thanks, Jesse. You're welcome anytime. Who else? What'd you get? Deb?
I just need to sit down and make a list of all my open loops. I just made a dang long list. And I just to go through them. I need to block out 2 hours to just figure it all out and be done with it.
That's right. Write them all down. It's great to see when you make your list of open loops, you're like, I'm thinking about all sorts of things, and you're going to see, oh, energy drains. I just did my open loop list. Here we go. Here's all mine. Those are all my current open loops that I'm closing the loop on, but and they come up and they go, and we have to take action or decide we're not, but it'll help you to close the loop. So it's great seeing everyone. Stairway to Sixers. I'll see you tomorrow for our closing June session before our last day closeout of the whole thing. I'm really excited about tomorrow. For the rest of you, get in touch if you need something. I'll see you in the Coaching for Coaches Facebook group. And if you need anything, reach out to Christy or I. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Adam.